Good morning. It's April 29th, 2011. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to talk a little bit about, in general, education. I'm going to tell you a few things that I know about doing videos. And then we're going to talk about what high school and to some degree college. So here we go. And by now, this is probably one of the most formal videos I've ever done. Okay, enough of the chortling. Videos. I can guarantee you a better audience response simply by changing some of the props. Now, I know this because I've done this before. If I were to sit before you, same camera, same computer, same equipment, with a shirt and tie on, and a sports jacket, and a backdrop covering what you see back here of one color or another. I've seen some people use the American flag, which I think is kind of cheesy, but okay. Royal blue, communist red, or something a little more decorative. Those changes alone, without any alterations to the scripts whatsoever, which means it'll be just as ad-lib as these are, will increase video viewing by about 50%. Actually, it's more like 100% because it's doubled. But I find that interesting. We talk a great deal in the United States about wanting to be free of the man. But nobody really pays attention to you unless you look like the man. We are a funny breed. And that, by the way, is not just in the U.S., that's humanity in general. So you can do what you want with that piece of information. Now, on to high school. I was having a discussion today about what's going on in the United States concerning unemployment. Unemployment this last month went up. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, I did find the U6 numbers. That's the table that shows the actual unemployment in the United States. And as of March of this year, March 2011, we are at 15.3% unemployment in the United States. That's national. That's not specifically geographical. So that is the real unemployment numbers right now. It's dismal. But the real unemployment numbers are usually a good 5% above what they report. They skim a lot of data to give us the unemployment numbers in the U3 table. And the U6 table is the actual real unemployment. It's the ones that don't get broadcast. So, I told you once a long time ago I was going to keep on top of those U6 numbers. Anyway, back to the issue about high school. So we were talking about unemployment, and then, of course, how horrible the schools are, and that's why unemployment's so high, and the fact that business interests are not investing in the United States because we're a bunch of ignorant louts. And then there is this idea that business wants educated people. What we have here in the United States is a mess. The business community at best can give you a long-term projection of where they suspect we will be in 5 years. It takes an average of 25 years to educate a person. On top of which, if you are educated, articulate, and well read, the business community doesn't want you. Why? Well, I don't know what the hell's going on with the 1.3% that are actually running this nation. But I can tell you what I've seen in the HR departments, as well as a great many of the supervisory staff that run operations. They do not want anybody who is educated under them. The simple reason, they don't want anybody smarter than they are. I saw this with my last short-term gig, whereas the day after I was done with training and was actually put into the team, my supervisor actually came up to me with a post-it note that she slapped on my desk as she walked by, telling me that I should go look for a job as a technical writer. I was kind of wondering what this was about, so I asked her a little later and said, well, are you seeing openings within the firm for technical writers? She said, oh, no. I just think you'd be better off as a technical writer. And lo and behold, before the 3 months were over, they found their way of getting me out the door because she didn't want me there. And I won't get into the exact events. It's just the kind of crap that's going on out there. So whatever the 1.3% of the population that's holding all the money wants, what they're getting is the crap that I'm seeing down on the call center floor. And what's this got to do with education? Let me go back to high school. I'll give you an example. I went to Prosser Vocational High School. In order to get into Prosser Vocational High School at the time I attended it, in the 70s, you had to have a better than average English score, vocabulary, reading, that kind of thing, and a grade level math score. Now, my math was about 8th grade level in 8th grade. My English scores, again, my vocabulary was at what they ranked at a 12 plus, which means in 8th grade, I was reading and understanding material that was written for freshmen in college. And the reason for this is, I think I've told you this story before. The reason for this is I got turned on to science fiction at about 7th grade level. I didn't do much reading prior to that. And the first book I read cover to cover on my own was The Andromeda Strain. And after reading The Andromeda Strain, I then proceeded to find everything of a like ilk along those lines. Now, at one time I could rattle them all off. Some of the titles I still remember. Of course, there's the Andromeda Strain, there's the Hephaestus Plague, there is Swarm, there is the 11th Plague, and there were others, but I don't remember. So by the time I actually got through 8th grade, I had a pretty good vocabulary. Not only that, but I had a pretty good understanding of biology, because most of these dealt with, microorganisms and how they work, or the etymological science. So, I mean, I had pretty good score with those. So anyway, and I'm running a little long here. I'm going to try and do this in one run, and then I'll slice it up for the folks out there in YouTube land who suffer from serious ADD. Oh, shiny, oh boy. So I went to Prosser, like I said, Prosser Vocational High School. Now, Prosser, as I said, is a magnet school. What they used to do was to gather from the northern elements of Chicago all the children who were excelling at English and grade level at math, and then they were training them to work in trades that were needed at the time by the Chicago industrial community. Now, what always struck me as being really kind of weird about this, I can understand having math skills. That makes a certain amount of sense, because in the trades, you do a lot of, what's called trade math. But the English skills always, and I'm no slouch. But it always occurred to me as being rather weird, and I've never gotten an answer to this, as to why they wanted people who excelled in English, which is, of course, reading and writing and understanding words and having a decent vocabulary, why they wanted people who excelled in that to be trained to work the assembly lines in factories. One of the biggest hirers or employers of Prosser's graduates was Continental Can Company. So figure that one out, guys. It never made any sense to me. But the point of all this is that industry did have a major hand in what was being produced through the high schools, at least in Chicago. I can pretty much guarantee you they don't now, because the United States is basically directionless. And there's this idea that the central government wants that to happen, and I cannot agree with that idea at all. And in connection with that, there's this idea that we are independent agents and out there to do whatever, separate and apart from, society as a whole. Now, to me, if you want to teach people how a social structure works, then you need to unleash the work that Merton did with his social strain theory to find out how groups function, as well as a great deal of the sociological science, other sociological science, like Colvin's work on crime and coercion, and apply that to the business community. Those works are basically hidden within the realm of criminology, and with the exception of some sociologists, is not known, except that those works are absolutely necessary for understanding how businesses function, because they are part of society as a whole. They're a small micro version of what's going on in the larger macro social structure. So to understand what's happening, you need to understand the abnormalities. Now, of course, Maslow would argue that, but even Maslow's work is not being fulfilled and used in the corporate environment today. I'm at 14:22. I'm going to cut this short. I may just release this as a whole, and then we'll go on to what I see in college education in the next one. Thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate it. As always, may your God go with you. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye for now.